Mentimeter part, which gives the opportunity, of course, for everyone to have a discussion while being online, and everybody can actually have their part in it. So I think that's nice. So let's have a look how that works for people who are not familiar with it. Of course, it's going to menti.com and entering the code which is requested. And then later on, after my presentation, you can join the discussion. Or you can use your mobile phone with the QR code. Again, the QR code there. Just click it and you'll be entering Mentimeter and it will be having the code there. Again, I will repeat this code later on at menti.com. So during the presentation, you will be able to join in. This means that you're having two devices. You have your laptop in which you might see the presentation right now, and you might have your phone available there to reply to the questions, but also see what's going on your phone there as well. So that's the technology being used, Mentimeter in this case. Again, thank you for joining us. The lunch program will have a half an hour. I'd like to just jump into nudging and explain how that's been applied to the innovation I had in hotel school at this very moment, the grid. Then I'll go on to the research we conducted on this specific grid, and then I'll move on towards the actual innovation I've done for the study, my study nutrition at the Haagse Hogeschool, which is the innovation of the POPs. After I've done this, there is room for a discussion. So first of all, I'd like to step on the theory of nudging or choice architecture, which refers to strategic changes in the environment that are anticipated to alter people's behavior in a predictable way, without forbidding any options or significantly changing their economic incentives. Of course, this is something which you can implement very easily on, and which happens already a lot, on choice behavior of guests in specific restaurants, food service restaurants a lot, to make sure that they have a healthy option. But you also can see this, of course, from an economic point of view, that items at eye level are chosen more early, but you can even see them down to more sustainable options, choices. We can manage people's choice behavior in here. But it could also very much be on the man's toilet, having that little fly out there, which if you're more interested about that, please check Google. I can tell you all about it. But that's nudging. Yeah, it's not really pushing someone somewhere, but it's giving the idea like, hey, helping out in your choices. Now, this is what we have implemented. This theory we implemented at Hotel School The Hague. At Hotel School The Hague, we have two types of restaurants. We have a fine dining restaurant and we have a food service restaurant. The food service restaurant is there for the students, staff members, and there's around more than 500 guests for lunch in non-COVID times. So at the moment, there's of course not as much, but in a regular week, some days we have more than 500 guests coming there. They have multiple menu options. So although the salad section is straight on the right when you walk in, but we also have menu items coming from a grill. There's a pasta section, sandwiches are being made to order there. There is pizza being made to order, and there's all kinds of other options there as available as well. But the salad section is one of those options. Now, in the past, we used to just create a salad, and we had a small salad bar with some items in there. We turned this around. So what we did, we took away that main salad, which we already pre-created, and we said, okay, the guests can have that liberty to choose their own ingredients, but we're going to help them with them. So basically, they're coming from left to right, and the student who is behind that section will help the guest going from left to right. As you can see, we're starting on the left side with carbohydrates, and we like our macronutrients, our nutritional need of macronutrients will then be covered in the same way. So we say, okay, we should have about 6% of our carbohydrates from the left side. Then we go to the middle proteins. We try to get 30% of their fibers, and then the 10% topped up with your unsaturated fats, which basically means that you have about 2 spoons of carbs, which can be buckwheat, beetroot, spelt. You top it up with a spoon of proteins, they can be lentils, walnuts, adding some fibers, which of course is not one of those micronutrients, but does help with a balanced meal. So that's what we're adding. And of course, those 10% saturated fats, which really comes nicely together with this 50 milliliters of dressing you normally add to a salad. Now you see, of course, here that at the end, yeah, you can have following different colors and you'll get your couscous salad or your spelt salad, as you can see right here, or you can just choose your own. Now, we have already seen, because this concept we have done for the last 5-6 months, we see that most of the guests really perceive this as like being the sweet shop, where they can pick their own sweets and have that all nicely in their salad. Of course, the whole idea, of course, is going from left to right and make it nice and balanced one. The students who serve the guest, and it's really down to the student at that point to really make sure that they cover all their ingredients. Not an easy job, but it's something we try to do. All right, so that's the grid. After about 5 months, we have done research. One part we've done qualitative research, and we checked what people from the industry thought about this concept, and we had to look at some quantitative points. So we did really have some numbers to work with, and we were really much interested in what the guests were doing. So first of all, we checked their sales numbers, and we could see there's a huge increase in sales. People perceive this very well, receive this very well, and they really start becoming more and more busy in the salad section. Of course, during lunchtime, it really, you can see it really increased. At dinner time, after summer, we get new students, people have to, again, get used to the concept for having it in the evening, but at lunchtime, you can see there's a big demand there. What we know now as well is that what we can see is that the guests have to wait in line. The whole process of the student helping out the guest, getting the right ingredients, is a process which takes time. And as most guests come between 12 and 12:30, the amount of guests you can serve in the 20 minutes peak time is limited. Now, we can see in the numbers, we have been more and more efficient in working in that way, because after we use that peak of about 80 sales, we can see that we still are able to sell a little bit more, but yeah, we are limited there. And as you can see, with less guests at dinner time, for example, you can see there is more room for improvement still. But it's not about the sales numbers so much as it is about the whole concept behind it of the grid, of course, is that nudging. So we were very much interested, like, okay, who is then having that salad? Well, people who are having the salad for lunchtime, you can see that they're having it twice a week or even more than twice a week. Some people even daily, which I think is an interesting number. You see that a specific amount of people are having this as a regular lunchtime menu option. Why do they choose the salad? Of course, we asked them again the question, why do you choose a salad? We can see that most of the people say, okay, for us, we perceive it as a healthy option. So the nudging, of course, might help. They're getting conscious about what's the carbs, what's proteins, what's our fats, why do we need this? Apparently that is important. Of course, other options are that the ingredient choice, the items we are using are important. But with that knowledge, we also ask the question to the guest, like, okay, but how do you see yourself? You have this Likert question where you can say, okay, what applies to you? Are you sustainable? Are you vegetarian? So what we can see is that the guests at the salad bar consider themselves being, of course, sustainable. Of course, that's something which is a topic at hotel school, but also, of course, consider themselves as being active in work, and some also active in sports. So they think, okay, we are working a lot with, we do exercise. So what do we have to get, make sure to stay in shape? So yeah, you can see again here, one of the main numbers here, that most of them are very much health conscious consumers. And the reason why they choose that salad. So yeah, we have developed the grid, and we used, of course, I used a specific designing tool, which is the plan, do, check, act, which means that with the grid, by doing this research, we looked at the way we should move on with the grid. Well, of course, we decided that the grid is going to stay, but as a spin-off of the grid, we came up with a different innovation. And that's what something I like to focus on, because where the grid is not really pushing the guest so much, with the pops, we like to grab the attention of the guest. We would like to go a step further. So yeah, with this one, where the other one is really about nudging, the pops, the grid is about nudging, the pops is very much about personalized nutrition. So personalized nutrition is based on the idea that individualizing nutritional advice, products or service will be more effective than more generic approaches. Meaning that that if you are looking at the characters of someone's body or activity level have an impact on what they need on a daily basis, we can work with that knowledge of personalized nutrition. Of course, we know everybody walks around with a smartwatch these days, or other on the phone. They can see how many steps they've walked. All this information can help. So the idea of this innovation we have here is the POPs, which is about pre-ordering personalized salad. So by making sure that people don't have to queue up anymore for their food, we ask them to pre-order in advance. And while they're pre-ordering, in this pre-ordering process, we're going to use a screening tool and to ask someone's their personal details like body size, gender, activity level, and so on. Meaning that with this information we get from the screening tool while they're ordering the pre-ordered salad, we can actually, with that knowledge, we can make a detailed, personalized salad. How does it work? In previous research, we know the average details of the hotel school students. So we know the male student has an average height of 1.67 m, and we know that, for example, the activity level of female students is about the 1.5 on the personal activity level. Having all this knowledge, we applied to the Harris and Benedict formula, which is a formula known very much in the nutrition, people known in the nutrition. So this way we can see our calories need for on a daily basis. So that's these numbers make it scientifically like, okay, we can apply this, having this knowledge. And having this knowledge applied into this form we used, we can say, okay, maybe we have a basic portion of 250 grams. But if you're a male, you should have 62.5 grams more. If you're over 1.75 m, again, you should have your portion size being increased. And also, if you're more active, by finding out, by asking different questions in the tool, you will be having, again, a larger portion size. So this is basically how it's been built up. And that's not only portion size, but we also ask about what they have for breakfast. So if they had proteins at breakfast, then you should be maybe good during lunchtime with a regular amount. But if you skipped those proteins at breakfast, maybe it's nice to have some extra topping during lunchtime. And the same counts for the vitamin D. In this case, is that, okay, if you haven't really been outside at these days in wintertime, maybe there's a nice topping of vitamin D. In this case, we have some mushroom crisps, which have a high vitamin D level in. So this is the way we approach this. Having this idea of in our mind of how we could apply this, we created this digital form. We have checked this with some experts. We made the whole concept, and this meant that in week 5 of the 10 weeks from the students who are all part of this, we're able to implement and do a pilot week. As you can see in the planning, is the pilot week. We were planning to do 2 weeks, but after the first week, we did an evaluation with one project team of the students. And this evaluation was also the last one, and was the last part of this whole project, because in week 6, we went into lockdown. So what were we missing out at the moment? We were never really able to implement the POPs for a larger group. But what we did was, in 1 week, we were able to at least about 5 guests on a daily basis creating those POPs. So we do have some experience, and that's something we're going to take with us. And also that's something, and it should be enough to maybe discuss any future for the POPs. All right, I hope this was clear enough and really to speed you up. I'd like to get on towards the discussion. So I'd like to go to menti.com, if you've already been to there, and use the code 18453393. And I'd like to go to the first question. Within the POPs, it is the size of your body and your activity level that decides the portion size. So I want to first ask this to the people with a nutrition background, so the nutrition students and professionals, which are now here online. This question is really first for you, because I like to see the different points of view. So if you go in there, and if you're just a hospitality professional, you can just tick the first one, so I know who has answered. Next question will be for you guys. So I will hide it for a second and see how we're doing. This is very much silence. I'm just counting how many people have in the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20 people in the room. Just wait a little longer. Everybody participating. Yeah. So I hope all the nutritionists have replied at the moment. Let's have a look. So what we can see is that from a nutrition point of view, they like to have science deciding what's the best for me. So the real point of the science, some of them says, of course, the guests should decide on their own portion size, which I think also makes sense. Think about that. We don't know we're using a screening tool. We don't know everything about them. And it's better to offer small or medium, large portions. Think about McDonald's. That's what they do there as well. So this is some nice numbers. I've over 14 right now. There's a set price for the salad. Therefore, it should have a set portion size. Yeah, that's the price. It's not something which is there for anyone to take into consideration. Nice. I'm just going to ask Miss Van Genufte, Tony, can I ask you to open the mic and share with us what answer you have given us?
Yes, I could, but I'm probably not most interested, because I decided I was more of a hospitality professional.
Okay, nice.
And a nutrition specialist.
Yeah, true. But I mean, it's something that. What can I ask you? What you want? What have you? What would you? Yeah, you said just a professional here, as a professional hospitality professional, or you just have an opinion here to share with us?
Are you asking me, Mark? Or
yeah, I'm asking you. Yeah.
Okay. And you're questioning my.
Yeah. Well, what is your opinion about that? The size.
It's decided by body and activity level.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate to have science decide what's best for me. I mean, I know I don't always decide what's best for me.
Okay, good. Yeah. No, because I know a bit about your background. I know sometimes also your opinion, but yeah, you also still like to go back to let's decide. Let science decide what's best for me. So going to research there. Okay. So let's go to the question again. In this case, I'm going to ask the people of the hospitality industry to answer this question and see what they think about it. So if you're a nutritionist professional, leave this one question now and leave the same question I like to have it answered by people from the hospitality industry. Okay, answers, which is good, which is nice. See if it helps. Yeah, there it goes. So the last question is coming in. So about 5 nutritionists, professionals in the room, but we can see that this is again, one person also thinks that there's a set price for the salad, therefore it should have a set portion size. I think that's interesting. You can see that here, science isn't that strong as a driver. Can I ask, I think Pauline, are you able to speak up, Pauline? Because Pauline is one of the students.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Pauline actually is one of the students who has created the POPs, worked with the POPs in the during this trial week, and you have to deal with the guests. So I'm very interested in what you have answered here.
I've answered the yellow one. The guests should decide on their own portion size.
Yeah, and why?
Because I believe, especially for students, they are very looking at price and they want to get the most for the least amount of money. That's just basically how the students at hotel school would see it from my experience in the trial week. So therefore, if they would want to use the POPs, they would get maybe less. For example, if I would order a salad, I'm a small girl and I'm not very active, so I would get a lot less than if I would order it live at the salad bar. So in that way, if you really want POPs to work and get me to order it as well, I should be able to get the same amount of food for the same price.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. Mr. Vos has something to say about that as well. Mr. Vos? Mr. Vos able to raise your hand, Mr. Vos, but slowing down? No. We'll get back to you later on, Mr. Vos. No worries.
Oh, there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I have another question. Another thing to pose to you is that proteins play many critical roles in the body, and proteins should be part of every meal. So again, I'd like you to first, in this case, I'd like to have the people from the hospitality industry replying to this. So please go ahead. People from the find themselves as being a hospitality industry professional, please reply to this one. Yeah, I'll first, otherwise I'm nudging your choice here if I'm showing the results. I already see some nice comments there in the chat. So there's a discussion going on here. I like that. All right. So have a look. So most of the people are really agreeing here. And some people say, someone says that more research is needed on the role of proteins. So I think that's a very interesting story. I'd like to ask Anna, what do you have chosen? Oh, sorry, this is for the hospitality industry. I'd like to ask Ms. van Bovenkamp, who joined. Thank you very much. Can I ask your opinion on this one, on the protein story?
Yeah, so for me, personally, it should be part of every meal.
because it keeps me going, and I feel full, and I don't eat bread or pasta, or so I always try to have the proteins in there.
Nice.
Something that gives me base. So how it is from a research point of view, I hope the nutritionists educate me on that a bit later.
Good. So education maybe is needed for them in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And of course, yeah, you have your you say, yeah, you don't eat any carbohydrates. So science tells you should eat more carbohydrates. How do you feel about that? Well, because of course, if you look at the grid, we're telling you to eat carbohydrates.
Yeah, for me, that has a background in a lifelong dieting. So it's somewhere imprinted in my mind that you shouldn't eat carbs, even though I know if you eat whole wheat carbs, that doesn't really matter. So that's why I'm always, if I go to the grid, skipping the pasta option there.
Good.
So that's what it's. I know that it's not like that, but in my mind it works like that.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, maybe having more knowledge about it, or even personalized nutrition can be then the solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and often then we still have the how to say, the plain pasta. So that's definitely a no-go for me.
Yeah.
And then I rather choose lentils or beans or something that keeps me full.
Yeah. Nice. Good. Now let's see what the people from nutrition background and nutrition professionals have to say about this same question. So go ahead, please. Let's answer that. Meanwhile, I'm going back to Mr. Vos because he's still raising his hand. Is he able to get in contact with us?
Yeah, for some reason my computer responded slowly, but then I'm unable to lower my hand. But what I wanted to add to that I wanted to say that people should be able to choose their own portion size is that maybe it has to come with an advice how much they should consume, because especially if you serve it in a box like you were doing, Mark, the swap box, that students would like to eat it in the evening, for example, or even the day after. So I don't think that we should differ in portion size, but we should differ in the advice, of course, because that's really valuable in my opinion.
Yeah, because of course, one of the product requirements for this innovation is of course that we have to look at sustainability, and because we're having a salad, and of course if you can keep it for longer, eat it in the evening, eat it the next day, definitely should be part of the possibilities. Yeah. All right, so I'll ask the question to the professionals of the nutrition background, see what came up. Yeah. So yeah, again, there's most of people are agreeing, and they don't think there's not. Well, I think there's a lot of research then being done, at least what I know about. What do you know about it, Anna? About proteins in food on a daily basis?
Well, I think proteins are critical, but also the other macronutrients such as carbs and fats as well. Looking at the previous speaker, I think it was Pauline, we noticed that there is some education gap between what's really good for us and what's known in the science. I mean, it's quite clear what is known, but I think what we need to teach people about is the ratio of nutrients, the right ratio, but also especially the quality. Proteins are critical, but what is the quality of the proteins? Carbs are critical, but what is the quality of the carbs? And so the fats, and also more emphasis we could put on the fiber, which is as well a very important nutrient, and a lot of people don't know much about. So I think the ratio and the quality are more important than only putting emphasis on protein, for example.
Nice, clear, thank you. I'm going to have another question then point for you guys, is that can the hospitality industry play a role in changing people's behavior towards consuming? I think we were just going in this direction. So first I want to ask again this question to the people of the hospitality industry, and please report here. So people from the Hospitality industry, please reply here. I see a lot of students, which I really appreciate. Welcome for joining this one. I'll just put it away for a second. Where I replied. Because what we already discussed is that the people, I mean, educating people more about it could really help in making the right decisions. And being at hotel school at the moment, it's not part really of a curriculum, part of the curriculum. However, it is a subject which comes up along. For example, we have in the second year managing an outlet, the students, which we have in the digital room right now. A lot of them also decide to go when they can go into more depth. They really like to go and discover more about food and health. All right, let's have a look. So yeah, by nudging towards healthy menu options, the hospitality industry can play a significant role. So that's one which really stands out. The hospitality industry does not have the knowledge to deal with it. It's not something some people will ask. So it's really about nudging, which we think in hospitality industry is. And one person is here saying screening tools and really personalizing the diet can also change it. Now let's have a look at what the professional for the nutrition industry says about the same question. So let's wait there for a second. And meanwhile, I want to just ask Faye if she's able to go online.
Yes, definitely.
For sure, nice. Okay, nice that you join us. So what did you answer to, can the hospitality industry play a role in changing people's behavior? You worked with the POPs, it was of course part of your assignment. How did you feel about this assignment that you have to implement something which really is about personalized? I mean, there's hospitality and there is nutrition. How did those two meet each other for you? How did it work?
So first of all, I gave the answer about that we could definitely nudge people to go for the healthier option. And I think that, I think hospitality could definitely be a good place to do that. Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, is that the role of the hospitality industry? Is that, do you think, how could it look like in the future?
Well, I think eventually it is not the role of the hospitality industry, maybe, or not for now at least. But since the hospitality industry plays such a big role, and it has, it's all about people, of course, it could definitely play a big role because it has quite a big influence, I believe, on people. But on the other side, I also think like going to hotels, for example, if we talk about hospitality and visiting restaurants, you will also just want to go for something you really like, and I think when you are trying to only go for the healthier options and everything, you do need to make sure there is something for everyone, because otherwise it will it's not too much fun for everyone anymore.
So food is also something which gathers people, which is part of the family.
Exactly.
We all share some food. Sharing food is very important in our culture as well. So that's very difficult. Let's have a look what the nutrition says here. And again, they mainly mentioned that nudging might be is the way towards a healthy menu options in the hospitality industry. Ms. Dagan, can I ask your opinion about this one? Because you have a background at Wageningen University in food related, but also marketing related. So please join in on this one. What do you think?
Thank you for the floor. And actually, my especially having worked in like more the medical nutrition companies, I think definitely not only in hospitality but all the food companies, they have a significant role in influencing and changing behaviors of consumers. And that's why most of the companies, they're also like really trying to offer more options, because consumers are getting more conscious, but also they would like to, have those options. So not only they have the option or they have the influence on changing behavior, but also they have to really take part in this changing consumerism, but also changing trends. So for me, definitely, like the last option, they can't really offer, or it wouldn't be credible to offer personalized options in their menus, but they can really take a part and they can have an influence, like with their offers, at least to get healthier options in the menus. So that's why I would definitely say the one before the last, by nudging towards people menu options.
There's also something, yeah, you're proof of choice. Okay, nice. Nice to have that opinion as well there. Thank you. I like to go to them because, of course, it's lunchtime break is ending soon for some people. I have one for both of you. What should the hospitality industry do right now to battle the other pandemic, which is, of course, obesity and vascular diseases? Is there something just pointed out there what you think can really do to battle this? Of course, maybe obesity sounds very big. It is a big issue, but of course, it is about making more healthy options and make it easier for people to choose them. There's a lot of things around it, but what do you think is first thing that comes up in your mind that the hospitality industry can do? So you can leave a small idea up here. The first one I already see, serve smaller portions. I personally really also think that portion size is an interesting subject. In my classes, I sometimes really give McDonald's as an example, and not just that you have the different options of portion size there, but think about McDonald's is for example, the only company, restaurant company who ever put marketing and money into the Olympics, for example, or you can see that the McDonald's was the first restaurant company that actually was transparent about the nutritional values of their food items, which you can find there. And if you go on, I really can recommend going to the McDonald's site, and you can see there a really nice website created and very open and transparent about their nutritional values. I'm not talking about, of course, the culinary experience at McDonald's. However, I think that's a company which is a nice example. Nice thing. Use less fat is something which has been used there. Offering healthy options and also giving consumer guests more balance, but still options to indulge guests. I like the other one. That must be someone from hotel school background because indulging is something we use a lot. Tasty, healthy options. Use your assets applying hospitality for enabling healthy options. I mean, I think hotel school is definitely aware of making food attractive. So I think we should do that. Use less salt. Yeah, I think that's definitely something we can look into. I mean, you would like people to have to taste it. You want to have a strong taste available. That's where salt is used for. But there are so many alternatives there to use it instead. So sometimes it's just there. So I think, thank you a lot for these comments. I'm going to use this as well for my study further on. Definitely use less salt and fat. That's something which all the people here in this room are conscious about, and nudging and teaching on the subject. Nice. Okay, I'm going to move on with the final question. I'll skip this one. So I'd like to thank you all for joining this discussion because I promised you it was a lunchtime discussion. You're all running late already for 10 minutes, so I'm very sorry about that. I hope you had time to have lunch in any way. But yeah, if there's any key takeaway from you which you'd like to share about this discussion this afternoon, yeah, please share it in here, your key takeaway point. And thank you for joining in. And yeah, vertel welkom. I think we had about 20 people in the room, which is very nice. And it means that this subject is for a lot of people a subject which is trending, but also people are very much aware of
Well done, Mark. Good luck.
Thank you, Mark. It was really nice to see, actually.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Nice innovation, Mark. Very interesting.
Bye bye.
Thank you. And I'll get back soon when I'll get back on campus. I'll go across the road maybe and see and talk about the catering there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good
luck with finalizing.
We'll
Thank
get
you.
Anna to come to The Hague more often.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, we can see each other in Amsterdam. Eh?
We can. Yeah.
But we will. Okay. Thank you, Mark. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Dag Mark.
Thank you. Oké, dat was hem. Nou, ik kom voor de lunch.
Er is nog iemand on hold.
Ja.
Heb jij die vraag daar? Of moet ik, want er is er dus op het eind nog een vraag gesteld. Die wil je misschien later nog antwoorden. Oh. Oké.